Hello everybody, welcome back again to the TheMovieCuban channel. Uh, it has been a while, so I would like to say hello once again. Um, if you can't really tell by my voice, I am currently in the process of getting over a rather bad cold that has been afflicting me for the last half a week or so. So I'm gonna try and keep this video as succinct as possible. And if I post another video afterwards, then it's probably going to be a little shorter than normal too. So, hopefully you guys don't mind that too badly. But, I came on today because I want to talk about a monk build and a monk set by extension that I had really high hopes for, but that is currently performing way less well than I had thought originally. And it's not terrible by any means. It's not like uh, Raymond of a Thousand Storms where it's just completely useless. But the game style is very particular, and I don't get the big juicy crits that I get on something like, say, my Ina Monk or my even it my pet witch doctor or any of my Legacy of Nightmare builds. But it's all right, and that's why I figure we can talk about it. So one of my favorite uh, characters from Chinese mythology has always been the Monkey King. I read Journey to the West. Um, I've seen a multitude of movies that star the Monkey King in some aspect, whether it's uh, the Monkey King from like 2014 or The Forbidden Kingdom from back in 2008, which is actually one of my favorite portrayals of the Monkey King by Jet Li. So, the Monkey King has always been a fascinating topic for me. And when Diablo released the Monkey King's garb, at first I was super excited. I was like, yes, finally, this will be my chance. I can, oh, excuse me, I can make a build and I can be Sun Wukong, you know? But that didn't turn out quite like I hoped. Because at the moment, Sunwuko is limited to the use of three skills, basically. Those being the Lashing Tail Kick, Tempest Rush, and Wave of Light. And I spent a couple weeks farming up gear, trying to find some way that I could make a Wave of Light build for Sunwuko work. But the gameplay was real stop and start, and I was constantly finding myself hungry for spirit. And at the end of the day, I think I can just safely say that Tempest Rush is not viable with Sunwuko. And I do feel the same way about Lashing Tail Kick. So all that really leaves us with is the Wave of Light, which is a skill I don't mind, but dropping a giant bell from the sky isn't what I associate with the Monkey King. So there was a bit of a disappointment there, and I had to get over that. But now that I am over that, let's take a look at what I've managed to come up with for my Sun Wukong monk. So the gear here is a little different than probably what you're used to, and I know a big difference here lies in the bracers, but we'll talk about why I'm wearing these in a bit. So let's start first by talking about Sunwuko, because it did get revamped in 2.4. Your damage taken is reduced by 50% while Sweeping Wind is active. Every second, Sweeping Wind spawns a decoy next to the last enemy you hit that taunts nearby enemies and then explodes for 500% weapon damage for each stack of Sweeping Wind you have. And then Lashing Tail Kick, Tempest Rush, and Wave of Light consume a stack of Sweeping Wind to deal 1500% increased damage. Now, we're going to be taking advantage of this 6-set bonus in addition to a multitude of other damage amplifiers in order to increase the damage output of Wave of Light, since it is our primary spender and it is where the bulk of your damage is going to be coming from. For this build, you're gonna need Kiyoshiro's Soul, or Kayoshiro's Soul, rather. This is a legendary belt that was introduced in the last patch, or this patch rather, and it makes it so Sweeping Wind gains 2 stacks every second it does not deal damage to any enemies. A really big problem I used to have with Sunwuko was that there was simply no feasible way to keep Sweeping Wind up unless you were, like, keybinding it. So this belt takes away the need to keybind Sweeping Wind, so long as you're careful that you're always either hitting something or you're not around things. Sweeping Wind tends to stay up pretty much all the time. And it also comes with a 5th affix that gives you additional Sweeping Wind damage, anywhere between 100 and 125%. Mine rolled a little low, but it's ancient, and I haven't found a better ancient one yet. So for now, I am perfectly content with it. You're gonna want Vengeful Wind so that you can increase the maximum stack count of Sweeping Wind by between 6 and 7. I got a 7. I was really happy about that. It's not ancient, but all good things in time, right? We're also going to need Kayoshiro's Blade, pairing up with the belt here. It increases the damage of Wave of Light by 150%, and when the initial impact of Wave of Light hits 3 or fewer enemies, the damage is increased by between 200 and 250%. Mine here rolled 247, so I'm pretty content with that. Unless I find an ancient with like the perfect 250, probably not gonna swap that out. You're also gonna need Zokir or Zokrin's Gaze. This used to be a completely useless item. I don't know anybody who used to wear this unless they were like leveling up and found one. But now it makes it so that Wave of Light is cast at your enemy, so you're literally lobbing bells like across the screen at enemies. And now it comes with a affix for increased Wave of Light damage. anywhere between 125 and 150. So that's going to help increase the damage of your wave of light. Uh, I'm running spirit guards because I am using a spirit generator quite often in this build. So having that little bit more of damage mitigation while I'm using that as I'm priming my bells, I feel you can't go amiss with that. And then we're going to be running focus and restraint since we are toggling between a spender and a generator. Um, and then boots, uh, the I'm not fully sold on which kind of boots you should wear in this build. I know a lot of people like to run crudest boots now so that they can run with an extra mystic ally, but frankly I don't see the need for it. I mean, I'm personally not running mystic ally, so because of that I don't feel the need to get an extra one. So I'm just wearing a pair of ancient Ina sandals since they're the best boots I have right now, and I'm not super worried about it. So you can choose if you want to run something like illusory boots, or if you want to maybe go the route of I'm sorry, did I say illusory boots? Well, you could run illusory boots, but you should be running the crudest boots if you want to run the double ally. Sorry about that. So, for legendary gems, we're going to run Bane of the Trapped. We're going to run Esoteric Alteration for some more damage reduction. And then we're going to run Bane of the Stricken. I haven't really been able to find a gem better for use than Bane of the Stricken so far. This is kind of just a placeholder at the moment. Helps when I'm playing through Greater Rifts and whatnot, so I figured why not. Over here in the cube, let me zoom out there. So over here in the cube, here you can see the bracers, the Pinto's Pride. Wave of Light slows enemies by 80% for 3 seconds and deals 150% increased damage. This is why we're running Bane of the Trapped, because this Wave of Light's constantly going to be slowing enemies and therefore proccing your Bane of the Trapped. And plus, if you get close enough to everything, Bane of the Trapped will proc itself. So basically you're constantly getting that buff from Bane of the Trapped to your damage. A weapon you are absolutely going to need if you want to be able to run this build efficiently is the Incense Torch of the Grand Temple. This reduces your spirit cost of Wave of Light by half. And since Wave of Light costs 75 spirit normally, that's really handy. I mean, I spend like 32 spirit for every Wave of Light I cast. So that's really nice. We are, however, going to have to run the Ring of Royal Grandeur in this build, which means we miss out on things like Convention of Elements, since Sun Wuko's is gloves, shoulders, chest, pants, and amulet, and helm. But we can't wear the helm for Sunwuko because we need Soak Grin's Gaze. So yeah, we are where we are. For the skills, since this is a holy build, or no, since this is a fire build, rather, um, you should try and, for the most part, run fire related skills. Like, for me, I was using Way of the Hundred Fists, Fists of Fury, because the holy damage can stack quite a bit. But honestly, having that increased movement speed from Blazing Fists isn't terrible. But I think I'm gonna hold on to Fists of Fury. You could also maybe try Assimilation. I don't think Assimilation would go too badly, but that's only a 5% damage increase, which isn't too great. Honestly, you'd get more benefit out of the Blazing Fists with the 15% attack speed increase. So, honestly, up to your discretion. We're running Wave of Light, Explosive Light. Um, this just this is a really AoE kind of effect. Um, Again, I'm not super sold on this one. I feel like you could get away with running Empowered Wave and you would be perfectly fine. But again, that's entirely up to you and how you want to run it. You're going to need Desert Shroud Epiphany, or Epiphany Desert Shroud rather. You're going to need Sweeping Wind Inner Storm. This makes it so that when your vortex is at 3 or more stacks, you get 8 spirit per second. So we're trying to mitigate some of that spirit use that we have for Wave of Light. I'm using Dashing Strike Blinding Speed because if I do get into a jam, I can dash away, and that additional dodge chance is gonna increase your survivability quite a bit. Mantra of Salvation Agility, again, more resistances and more dodge chance. And then for your passives, I'm running the Guardian's Path. Since I'm dual wielding, I get even more dodge chance. Um, I'm running Seize the Initiative because that additional attack speed comes in real handy when paired with Mythic Rhythm, because you want your Way of the Hundred Fists to hit really fast, and the faster it hits 3 times, then the faster you can get that extra 40% damage increase for Wave of Light. And then obviously we're going to run Harmony, since Harmony is just basically a staple of the the monk class in itself. So if you want to run fire as the build, I would recommend Blazing Fists for Way of the Hundred Fists. I would recommend Explosive Light, obviously. You could change Dashing Strike Blinding Speed to Radiance to give it that fire damage, and then get increased attack speed. But if you want to run a holy version, then I would say use Way of the Hundred Fists, Fists of Fury. Change Explosive Light to the Empowered Wave, and then um, that's about it, really. It's kind of easy to switch between elements for this. Finally, let's go over Paragon Points. So, max out your spirit, first of all. Since this is a very spirit hungry build, You want as much points of spirit as you can. Try and get extra spirit rolled on different pieces of gear if possible. Then make sure you get your movement speed capped out to 25. I have like 12% on my boots, so I only need 13 here. And then I just dump the rest of my points into dexterity. I feel that's as good a way to go as any. For this particular build, I would say focus on crit hit chance and crit hit damage first, then get some attack speed in there, and then worry about cooldown reduction. For your defense, start with your resistances. This is kind of universal. Then armor, then life regen. And then for utility, start with your area damage. The splash damage you can get from Wave of Light is certainly nothing to sniff at. Definitely get that resource cost reduction. Every little bit that you don't have to spend for a Wave of Light is another bit you can spend on another Wave of Light. So I do like that. Then max out your life on hit and gold fine, but they aren't super important. So yeah, guys, that is currently the Sunwuko setup that I'm working on here. Um, I did just run a Greater Rift prior to making this video to check and see where my Sunwuko monk was currently at, and she did run a 55 in relatively a short amount of time. So I'd say even with unoptimized gear like mine, I don't have all ancients. Um, you can still do like mid 50s, and I'm sure that as I get more ancients on this build, I'll be able to go higher and higher. But that's my short look at Sunwuko. If you liked the build, if you enjoyed it, go ahead and subscribe down below so that you can stay up to date with the different build videos I do. I'm gonna go rest my throat for a while, so I'll see you guys next time.